Macca's Guides.
Hey guys, Macca here, and this video is all about an idea at Xbox game called Flinthook. So recently Xbox Canada invited me out to go to Montreal and visit Tribute Games, which is the studio that created Flinthook. While there, I got to try out the game, take a look at the studio, and talk to some of the people who have been working on it. This video will cover my trip, have a whole bunch of information about Flinthook, and then ultimately I will end the video with some of my personal impressions. After playing it at the studio, I also got to play it at home, and have played it quite extensively over the last couple of days. As I arrived, the first thing I did was take a quick look around the studio, which you guys can see on the screen. Shortly after that, I took a seat and played Mercenary Kings, one of Tribute Games' previous games, which we may soon be seeing on the Xbox One. After that, I sat down, just me in the game, and played it for a bunch of time. And I occasionally would go and talk to some of the developers and ask them a couple of questions about how they would expect people to play the game, whether or not it was more about the difficulty or more about speedrunning, and we'll get into all of that coming up here. Now that I put some gameplay on the screen, let me tell you what Flinthook is about. So according to Flinthook's Gamepedia page, Flinthook is a Metroidvania dungeon roguelike platformer where you try to become the galaxy's greatest pirate. Now that was a mouthful, but let's break it down. The premise in Flinthook is generally pretty basic here. You play as a character named Flinthook. You have this special hook that allows you to grapple onto things. You also have a gun, and you're going to be making your way through ships. Because you're a pirate, you really like gold, and you're going to be collecting gold during your journey through these randomly generated rooms in the pirate spaceships, and then you can use your gold to buy upgrades, and you'll also earn XP, which will help you level up, and as you level up, you can equip more things by buying things in the black market. You kind of get the point. There's a little bit of that RPG element where you're leveling up and getting better over time based on your skills, but there's also a high emphasis on your skill factor and being good enough to just beat the game based on skill alone. So you've seen what the gameplay looks like, but let me show you now what setting up a run looks like. First off, you have perk slots. You only have a limited amount of perk slots when you first start out, but you can unlock more if you want to use your black market tokens on more perk slots. You can also use them on other things like more health, so there is a fine balance here. But you're going to be using these perk slots in order to select perks, and you can take these perks with you through your run. Then you will have a choice of 3 ships to board, and these ships have a wide variety of different attributes. Although they are randomly generated, these ships are guaranteed to have something. You'll be told how difficult they are by a difficulty bar on one side, and you'll also be told what you can for sure find inside of the ship in one of the categories, and all of the ships are going to be different. Now, the goal of a run is to work your way through all of the ships you need in order to get to the boss, and then to defeat the boss for that run, and then so on and so forth, working through harder and harder bosses, and then unlocking harder variants of bosses as you go. Now, because this is a roguelike game, there are some attributes that come with that territory. Like I've said, a lot of the rooms are completely randomly generated, and the ships are completely randomly assembled. The only things you can count on being the same every time are the boss battles at the end of a run, and that all of the ships in a bounty follow a certain visual theme. Otherwise, every run of the game will be completely unique, and that also means that if you die halfway through a run, you'll have to completely restart that run, and there aren't really any checkpoints along the way. During your journey through Flinthook, you'll also be attempting to unlock a total of 37 achievements. So I took a chance to talk to Dom, one of the game designers at Tribute Games, to ask him how they designed the achievement list.
So we have kind of a wide variety of achievements. Some are designed for a certain type of player, some are designed for speedrun more, some are more aiming at high scores. But we also have achievements for getting all the secrets in the game, so there are some secret paths that you need to figure out and find. And also some more long-term stuff, like find all the collectibles and all the lore entries that are hidden in the game.
So now that you know just about everything there is to know about Flinthook, I'm going to get into some of my personal impressions and opinions on the game. It should also be noted that although Xbox Canada did pay for my travel, this is not a sponsored video, That means I'm allowed to say anything I want about the game, even if it's brutally honest. So let's get into my thoughts. So first things first, most important thing when playing a game, is it fun? And the answer is absolutely yes. Now, this was a game that first went on my radar when I tried it at X16 in August of 2016. And even back then, I remember going on the TXR podcast and talking specifically about this game, telling people to keep an eye on it because it was a little bit of a buried treasure at that event. Now, two things that this game absolutely has going for it are its visuals or its art, and its audio or its music. And these two things are obviously the first things you're gonna see and hear, and they are some of the best aspects of this game. But it's not just smoke and mirrors. The game also has a very solid gameplay loop, has very in-depth RPG elements, and has a lot going for it from a uniqueness perspective and a gameplay perspective. It also falls under the larger umbrella of easy to play but hard to master games, which if you guys follow the channel, you know is something that is very, very important to me, and games that have a high skill ceiling are usually very appealing to me. At the same time though, because the game is quite difficult, it may turn some gamers off just a little bit. Now, usually I'm not a person that goes crazy for roguelike games because they're not always my cup of tea, but this game definitely has me hooked. I've found myself playing it a lot over the last couple of days and really enjoying my time with it. So with that being said, I would recommend it. The sense of accomplishment you gain after beating a tough boss is definitely worth it, even with the small fits of rage you'll probably have after failing it a few times. Once you learn your playstyle and pick perks to complement that playstyle and become a master at slow-mo, the game definitely hits its stride and becomes very enjoyable and addicting. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of Flinthook and if you're going to be picking it up. Feel free to share the video with a friend. Special thanks to DarthDave89 and DropDeadArtemis for supporting the show on Patreon, and hopefully I see you guys next time. Peace.